Hello and welcome. I am Dogbird here to give my DD5 recommendations for patch 6.7. This is for somebody just entering DD5, looking to enter DD5, and you might be wondering, do I even really need to do DD5? Do I need to get a Dormammu? I can't just wait and get Apocalypse. The fact of the matter is, Apocalypse requires 23 characters at Gear 16 with Blue Eyes to level 4. We'll get that a little bit more, but pretty much it's pretty difficult. And you pretty much want to get Dormammu. Dormammu is very important using Cosmic Crucible. He helps in Arena, he helps in War, he makes Mystic, Radiance, and Breeze pretty much everywhere. He is a very valuable plug-and-play character that you will need. You need him to succeed in things like Cosmic Crucible and War, which is where you get those T4 ions, and he will still be very useful in Arena, because Apocalypse is not going to have that big of an impact, if any, in the arena once he comes out. That's not to say that Apocalypse couldn't become arena meta in the future. We'll have to wait and see. So, don't I need to save heal gear for Horsemen only? No, don't be afraid to Gear 16 raid characters after getting Dormammu, or Tier 16 characters you're going to be needing for here. The teal gear is actually quite easy to get. The problem is the T4 and T5 ions. That's the real bottleneck, and this goes back to where you need Dormammu to be good in Cosmic Crucible, to be good in War, because the better you do in those things, the more ions you get. Now, in War, you're pretty much going to be stuck in an Elo system, and it also depends on your alliance. It's not going to really matter if you win or lose in there too much. You're going to eventually win, you're going to eventually lose. That's just the way War is. This is why War is not worth building for. We just build good characters that we need for other modes and use them in War. As for Cosmic Crucible, it's nice to win, but in reality, you're going to get put into an Elo system in there as well. However, with Cosmic Crucible, it's very important to move up as much as you possibly can in those different leagues. Master, Platinum, like that, because once you get to a higher league, you get more T4 ions even on a loss if you do poorly, but you want to be able to punch up a bit more. Eventually, you are going to hit a wall where you just can't beat those players you're going against. Welcome to the Elo system, Cosmic Crucible. But you will slowly move up in those ratings, especially if you can keep punching up and keep going like that. That's a great way to get your T4 ions, and you'll be getting on your way to Apocalypse if you actually care about him. That's another video. So, who do I recommend for City now? Now, the team I'm recommending for City might seem a little weird. It's Squirrel Girl. Squirrel Girl has become an absolute mainstay for DD5 City. City is the hardest section. Shang-Chi is the other mainstay that we have in there. He is a skill character. We had Squirrel Girl as a bio character. And then we come to another bio character. That's OG Spider-Man. Yes, believe it or not, OG Spider-Man. Now, Shang-Chi, of course, you remember, does a lot of damage. Squirrel Girl, she's there because she puts a heal block out on the entire opposite enemy team, and she can heal us and cleanse us. Why is Spider-Man here? Well, he can heal himself with his special, which puts defense down out. He's incredibly dodgy, so he has survivability like that, and he's got a stun. That's also incredibly valuable too. He's pretty quick. Now, here's another one that's come up, is Kingpin. Believe it or not, a skill character with Kingpin. Now, Kingpin does give us buffs. He gives us minions who can take hits. They can taunt, keeping our other characters alive. And he can call some assists as well. And this is incredibly valuable. He's actually a very important part of our team now. He's incredibly useful in and out of DD5. And last but not least is probably a character who gets not enough respect. That is 2099. Now, he doesn't get as much respect. We don't really realize how good of a character he is because he's living in Spider-Weaver's shadow. And Spider-Weaver's just an amazing character. But 2099 does strip buffs off. He does this by flipping those buffs, those positive effects, into negative effects. He has an ability block. He can put slows on the entire enemy side. He's actually quite good. The only problem with him, he's a little bit squishy, so keeping him alive might be a little bit more difficult, but it is possible actually to one-shot all these city nodes with this team if you're willing to constantly reset. If not, you can do it in a few attempts, which, believe me, is a lot quicker than I had to do with this in. Now, there's some alternatives, mostly like OG Spider-Man. You're pretty much going to be sticking with Kingpin, 2099's Shang-Chi, and Squirrel Girl. It just comes down to who do you replace OG Spider-Man with, and that would be like a Spider-Woman. Ghost Spider works as well. Ms. Marvel works incredibly well as well. Now, once we get into Cloak and Dagger, you can bring Cloak. You don't bring Dagger without Cloak. Then you'd have to replace two people on this team. You pretty much leave in Shang-Chi and Squirrel Girl at all times, and you mix and match the team as you want with some of those alternatives. Cloak and Dagger are very good together. Once you bring them in with Squirrel Girl and Shang-Chi, then the fifth really doesn't matter at that point. The problem with that is you're now have a very expensive Mystic character in Dagger, and that could throw you off. That's one thing I was trying to keep in mind was how many different of the origins that we're going to have to build. Couldn't really do it based on the uniques. I try to keep that in mind as well, but there's some overlap of uniques as well, as you'll see as we go through. Let's move on to Global. Now, Global is absolutely loaded with the Horseman teams, and the fact is they're mostly not that good inside of DD5. But there are some that are good and some that are bad. And the recommended team is Spider-Weaver, of course, Nemesis, who's absolutely a mainstay, Emma, Sharon Carter, and Captain Sam. Now, Sharon Carter can be easily swapped out with Gambit, Captain America, Maria Hill, Doom, if you want to go that route. But this team is a Mystic, 2 Mutants, and 2 Skill that can get through the global nodes quite easily. The other one I do like here, like I said, if you want to replace either Emma or Sharon Carter, maybe, would be like a Captain America and Peggy Carter. They make a good combo. Winter Soldier, believe it or not, he's on the alternative list. He's actually quite good as a skirmisher inside of DD5. He puts out a lot of damage now for single target. Can be pretty survivable if you bring like a Peggy and Captain America with him. That's another combination. Essentially, the three Gamma members, Hulk, Abomination, and Brawn, they work very well together. If you're only looking for two, then I would go Hulk and Brawn, and Abomination being the weakest. Doom is nice, and he is a tech/mystic character, but he takes miasma, which could be an interesting problem. That's another unique you don't really want to go into. Now, Gambit's an interesting one. Gambit is incredibly good at high stars. If you have lower stars, you're probably not want to take him right away. You can take him later. Essentially, Peggy Carter, you don't take her unless you're taking like Captain America with him, just because of the bonuses she gives, and they work together quite well. It is quite nice to have Captain America and Captain Sam on the same team. You have to alternate taunts. This can also be done with just regular Hulk. Regular Hulk works best, though, with just Captain America instead of Captain Sam. So there's some different combinations you could do if you really wanted to. The reason why I have Emma up here, she has become a mainstay. She has stood the test of time, will continue standing the test of time, and she just totally changes the fight because of her speed manipulation. Plus, don't forget, she can dispel all those nasty negative effects off our team, take away all those nasty buffs off the enemy team, and blind somebody. She is really quite valuable and can be hard to kill sometimes. Nemesis is up there because he is just amazing for Dark Dimension. Everything he does is percent-based health steal, and you're dealing with a lot of large health pool characters, so that percent-based health steal is going to do a lot of damage. And Spider-Weaver, best character in the game. Need her for Apocalypse anyway. She's absolutely amazing. The amount of control she gives. The last character I didn't talk about was Maria Hill down in the alternatives. She is quite a good healer and does pair up well if you want to do 3 Secret Avengers. Go ahead and do it. It works just fine. You'll definitely get through the global nodes pretty easily. Now, moving on to Cosmic. Now, Cosmic has largely stayed mostly the same. I unfortunately had to drop Hella down with the announcement that Deathpool is a part of the Apocalypse. And Deathpool is just as expensive, though, but she is up there. So the recommended team being the Eternals, Kestrel, Deathpool, and now Kang. So the Eternals are a no-brainer. They're useful everywhere. Their usefulness in the arena is dropping They are not as used as much, but they are still very useful in the arena, can still be used there, and they're used pretty much everywhere else as well. Kestrel, need it for Apocalypse, still amazing. Gets a little bit of play in the arena, gets definite play in War, gets definite play in Cosmic Crucible. You'll definitely be using her. Deathpool is a centerpiece for the Mystic raids, needed for Apocalypse as well. She's always been a good character, just that she was so expensive. And she's Mystic, so we're going to have to take that into play. But you need to build her anyway. She does take Miasma. Miasma's going to have been taken off the board now, because we're not really bringing Cloak. We're not really bringing Doom. So we do have the Miasma now laying around for Deathpool. In the past, we also had Adam Warlock as well. And last is the newest member is Kang. Now, this is a great pairing. Kang is another great character who's going to stand the test of time like an Emma, in that he manipulates that turn baiter on our first turn. He also enables Kestrel since he puts defense downs out there, does a great amount of damage himself, and has good survivability, and will definitely be an amazing cosmic team. This team is capable of one-shotting the entire section. If you want some alternatives, for whatever reason, we have a tech and 3 mystics and a tech/skill up, essentially, in Kestrel. The alternatives would be still the Infinity Watch women, Viola, Nebula, and Gamora. All good, solid choices. Can go in on their own. Work most best together, but they can go on their own. Doctor Strange Heartless really is not that great of a choice. He is very fragile and dies easily. But if he gets his turns off, he can do some pretty good damage. But I definitely don't recommend him as being a great alternative, but he is an alternative. Star-Lord T'Challa is a cheap tech character, but you'd be a lot better off with Kang. And finally, Hela is another expensive mystic, but still quite good. So I left her up here, just in case you'd rather go with her over Deathpool. But I don't think it's going to happen. But hey, it's up to you. And last is Legendary. Well, Legendary, the team I definitely recommend is Morgan Le Fay, Rogue, Red Hulk, Shuri, and Archangel. Of course, it's the 4 Horsemen. You gotta build all the 4 Horsemen. They're all great in their own retrospects. Morgan Le Fay, even though we're not really using her in Arena, is still an incredibly powerful character. Still incredibly useful everywhere. Rogue, of course, being a very powerful character as well. Red Hulk, the best of the Horsemen. Very useful in Arena. We'll see how he does going forward. Probably be incredibly good. Of course, he's good more. Of course, Archangel, you need him for the raids. So why not? And that leaves us with Shuri. The reason why we brought Shuri here, she is a Wakandan, don't forget. And don't forget we had that whole Gamma 4.4, Gamma 4.5. Guess what? Wakanda's on the side range and Wakanda's up the middle. If you want to do 4.5, you're going to need a Gear 16 Shuri at some point anyway. She's a tech character also, so this helps out with that gear. That's why we're not putting Magneto, who's a very expensive mutant, and actually doesn't really do much. He kind of just dies. It's hard to keep him alive. At least Shuri, you'll keep her alive. You'll one-shot the legendary nodes, and you'll be out of DD5. You'll have Dormammu and be happy. If you're looking for a little bit cheaper alternative for a tech character, I do say Doc Ock is good still, but unfortunately, at the end of the day, then you have a Gear 16 Doc Ock, like a lot of us older players, and you really don't use him for much anymore. Unfortunate, because he is quite a good character. It's just, he just kind of fell to the wayside. So that's it. That's my recommendations for DD5 now. Let me know if you think I got anything wrong, which I'm sure you will, because this is the internet and this is the YouTube comments. That's what we do here. I'll just ignore you, as like I always do. Until next time, everybody.